Hello, friends. I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How are you doing today? I hope things are good in your world. I have finally begun to try again to watch Game of Thrones. I have a video here on on YouTube called "Game of Thrones Sucks," and it was a rant that I made after trying to watch for like the third time, and trying to read the book again, and it just. I got really frustrated with it because the book in particular, once they get to King's Landing, the whole first part of the book is really fun and it's really adventurous and it sounds like it's going to be a really cool world, and then it just turns into this bullcrap intrigue that I don't like. Like it basically became House of Cards but with swords, and that was just ew. Like I don't. And in the show, they tried to make it sexier, but in the same time, it became really boring and really kind of rapey and weird and odd. And so I just never was able to make it through the book or the show. And I've been told by friends that like book 3 is one of the best books ever written, and that you really got to wait for the first few seasons, and then the show gets amazing. And okay, great, but how many hours of my life am I willing to commit to something that I don't like, right? And that's kind of the whole gist of that whole episode, was, how many hours do you torture yourself with because people tell you it gets better. And part of the reason that I didn't like it then was because I didn't like shows. Like I've never been a person who watches TV. I've never been a person who watches a lot of movies or sits down and just does nothing for a while except for take stuff in. I don't do that. I've always been hyper productive because I feel like I've always felt like I was lazy if I sat and did nothing. But something I have learned in this past year is the enjoyment of sitting down and just letting things go. And I have my girlfriend to thank for that. She's taught me how to enjoy television and how to enjoy shows, and we've watched quite a few shows together now, full runs of shows, with lots of seasons and that sort of thing. So we decided to try Game of Thrones. She's made it. She had made it through, I think, like the first season or maybe even into the second season before, but she doesn't remember any of it. And so we started at season 1, and we are just finished episode 7. And I think it's better than I gave it credit for in that first episode. The first episode was still really bad, really, really bad. And I don't know that you can ever get a first episode right of any show. And that's part of the reason why I made the video, I think it was 2 years ago now, was because I didn't appreciate the first episode, and it's really difficult to continue watching a show when the first episode is so bad. And the thing is that it's really difficult to make a first episode, and I know that. Like I've been an actor in some live action stuff, but I've never been an actor on camera. And I know how long it takes to find a character and become that character, and how much rehearsal is required. And it seems like when shooting like a pilot or shooting a television, they don't really have time to do that, so they just kind of dive right in. And the first episodes are always really bad. Like the acting, nobody knows who their character is. Nobody knows how to portray the world that they're in, or where to even look, And it becomes really awkward. And I pick out a lot of that stuff because I'm a jerk like that, I guess. So I got through the first episode, and we made it through 7 episodes so far, and it's better. It's still boring. It's still really boring. It's like, every episode has this like moment where you're just like, yeah, and I don't care. Like that's probably the other factor. And I don't know if I mentioned this in the original show, the original episode that I did about this. All the shows that came out in the past like 10 years that were super popular, like all of the streaming shows, I should say, or I guess Game of Thrones isn't streaming, but things like House of Cards, Orange is the New Black, the Walter White show, whatever that's called. Those types of shows where there is no hero, I don't like them. Like, I don't identify with anybody in any of these shows, and I usually need a character to identify with. And in these types of shows, everybody is a jerk. Like, there is not a single character that I care about. They all become jerks. They all are just so self-driven and self-centered. They're just assholes, and I don't enjoy that. And so I feel a lot about that, going into this. Like, I guess I'm supposed to like Ned Stark. I don't. Like, he's just a kind of, I don't know, he's full of himself or something. I don't know. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm going to keep going. If nothing else, it's time that I get to spend with her, and I appreciate that and more than anything. So I'll keep going for that fact. But I also like dragons and fire and swords and fighting and that sort of thing too. So I can look past some of the stuff because the setting's cool. I do like the setting, and I want to find out what this winter is about. Yes, it sounds really kind of hokey, but I think it'll play out all right. So just to give you an update, I got an itchy nose. I don't know why. One of the first rules of acting is never touch face. But anyway, thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Hey, Doc, wait! I want to ask you something.
Today's random fact comes from armadilloonline.org. How long can an armadillo hold its breath? Question I've literally never asked. Armadillos like to swim, and they are very good at it. They have strong dog paddle and can even go quite a distance underwater, walking along the bottom of streams and ponds. They can hold their breath for 4 to 6 minutes at a time. I had no clue. Armadillos swim.